Welcome to Time Capsule. Subscribe to help us preserve our shared history for generations to come.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Time Capsule, where we explore the stories behind the names and faces of America's past. Today we're shining a light on a man whose influence is everywhere, yet whose name doesn't get nearly enough credit. James Madison, America's fourth president, the father of the Constitution, and one of the quietest revolutionaries of them all. Madison wasn't a flashy soldier like Washington or a bold writer like Jefferson, but he was the architect behind the nation's blueprint. Without him, the United States as we know it might never have survived its earliest days. So settle in, grab a drink, and let's take a journey through the life of a determined thinker who turned ideas into a working government and then led the country through its first truly national war. Let's start in 1751 in Orange County, Virginia. James Madison was born on a tobacco plantation to a wealthy but hardworking family. He was small, pale, and sickly as a child, prone to seizures and constantly battling illnesses. Some doctors thought he might not live to adulthood, but he proved them wrong with a mind that was razor sharp. Madison grew up reading everything he could get his hands on, including languages, law, history, philosophy, and he headed to the College of New Jersey, which we now know as Princeton. There, he crammed years of study into a single burst of intense effort, graduating faster than most students and absorbing the ideals of the Enlightenment that were sweeping the world. After returning to Virginia, Madison began a quiet but powerful public career. At first, he joined the Virginia legislature, speaking softly but thinking deeply. When the colonies began to break from Britain, Madison aligned with the revolutionaries, even though he wasn't a fiery speaker. He let his arguments do the heavy lifting, and he pushed hard for religious freedom, working with Thomas Jefferson to pass laws protecting it. When the Articles of Confederation proved too weak to hold the country together, Madison saw disaster looming. The states were arguing, there was no central power, and rebellions were starting to break out. Madison, just 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighing barely 100 pounds, might not have looked imposing, but he had a giant's mind. He began studying every government he could find, from Greek city-states to the Roman Empire to the Iroquois Confederacy, searching for a system that would balance freedom with stability. His ideas came together in 1787 when he arrived in Philadelphia for what would become the Constitutional Convention. Madison was ready with a plan. The Virginia Plan, which proposed a strong national government with 3 separate branches and checks and balances. Though delegates debated fiercely, it was Madison's structure that formed the backbone of the U.S. Constitution. After months of haggling, the document was signed, but it still had to be approved by the states. That's when Madison teamed up with Alexander Hamilton and John Jay to write the Federalist Papers, a series of essays explaining why this new Constitution was worth defending. Madison wrote 29 of them himself, calmly laying out his arguments for the American people to judge. His commitment to reason and compromise made the Constitution a reality. But he wasn't done. When people demanded a Bill of Rights to protect personal freedoms, Madison, at first hesitant, came around. He drafted the first 10 amendments himself, using his understanding of law and philosophy to guarantee freedom of speech, religion, and due process rights millions of Americans treasure to this day.
Having at the time of their adopting the Constitution, expressed a desire.
After the Constitution was ratified, Madison continued to serve in Congress, helping to get the new government running. But as the 1790s rolled on, he clashed with his old friend Alexander Hamilton, who wanted a strong national bank and powerful federal government. Madison, meanwhile, feared that too much centralized power would trample states' rights. That fight would define early American politics and lead to the first political parties. He teamed up with Jefferson to form what became the Democratic-Republican Party, standing for smaller government and a more agrarian society. While Hamilton looked to big cities and industry, Madison saw the future in independent farmers and a simpler life. These early party battles shaped America's politics for centuries to come. In 1801, Thomas Jefferson became president, and Madison served as his Secretary of State. It was Madison who helped manage the Louisiana Purchase, doubling the size of the nation and opening the door to westward expansion. He also oversaw tense diplomatic struggles as Europe's wars threatened American trade. By 1808, it was Madison's turn to lead, winning the presidency after Jefferson's 2 terms. But it wouldn't be an easy ride. Britain was impressing American sailors, attacking U.S. trade ships, and stirring up trouble on the frontier. Americans were angry, demanding action, and Madison, a peaceful man at heart, finally asked Congress to declare war. That war would go down in history as the War of 1812. Madison's presidency was tested like no other. The British invaded Washington, D.C. in 1814, burning the Capitol and even the White House. Madison had to flee, becoming the only sitting president ever to ride into battle with troops to rally them personally. Though the war was a struggle, America emerged with a renewed sense of unity and national pride, seeing itself as an independent country that would never bow again. After peace returned, Madison turned to rebuilding. He supported measures to strengthen the military, boost industry, and improve transportation. Many historians see this as a shift in his thinking, accepting that America needed a stronger infrastructure to survive in a dangerous world. In 1817, Madison retired to his beloved Montpelier plantation in Virginia. There, he lived quietly with his wife Dolly, one of the most beloved first ladies ever, famous for her kindness and her courage in saving George Washington's portrait when the British torched the White House. Madison wrote letters, mentored younger politicians, and reflected on the Constitution he had helped create. He stayed active in debates, worried about threats to liberty, even in retirement, warning that no government could survive without an informed, engaged citizenry. His last years were peaceful, but never idle. James Madison died in 1836, the final surviving signer of the Constitution. He left behind not just words on paper, but a living framework that still guides the United States today. From freedom of religion to fair trials to checks and balances, his ideas became the DNA of American democracy. He may have been small in size, with a quiet voice and a reserved personality, but James Madison shaped a country bigger than any one man could ever hope to measure. So what do you think was Madison's greatest legacy? Was it the Bill of Rights, leading through the War of 1812, or creating the backbone of the Constitution itself? Let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And if you enjoyed this, look into one of America's most important founders. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss another time capsule adventure. Thanks for watching. And remember, history is not just a list of dates and battles, but the living stories of real people whose choices still shape our world today. Stay curious, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you all for listening to my story. This is James Madison, signing out.